If you open a standard history textbook, the story of urban sanitation is incredibly straightforward. Before the Romans built their famous sewers, cities simply lived with open waste in the streets. During the 19th century, Western historians and engineers cemented this specific Roman system as the definitive starting line for civilized infrastructure. They pinned the birth of organized public plumbing to a single structure, the Cloaca Maxima, traditionally dated to the 6th century BCE. But that foundational timeline of human progress was flawed from the start. It was a conclusion based entirely on the limited dirt European archaeologists had managed to excavate at the time. The correction to that record didn't arrive until 1924. That is when Sir John Marshall announced the unearthing of a completely unknown civilization at a site called Mohenjo-Daro. Located in modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, the Indus Valley civilization had been entirely absent from the established historical canon. The excavation data presented an immediate problem for the textbooks. The ruins proved that these cities had engineered standardized urban sanitation roughly 2 millennia before Rome even existed. The reason the Roman origin myth persists today is mechanical. The overarching timeline of world history was printed, distributed, and accepted as fact decades before the physical evidence of Mohenjo-Daro was pulled from the ground. To understand what they actually built, we have to put the textbooks aside and look directly at the raw excavation data, starting inside the house. Jonathan Mark Kenoyer's 1998 documentation of the site reveals a striking feature. Nearly every excavated home possessed a dedicated sloped bathing platform paved with fitted bricks. This architectural diagram isolates the water's path. The wastewater flowed from that private bathing platform down a brick chute set directly into the exterior wall and drained out into a covered channel running along the street. Those street-level drains were engineered from precisely fitted kiln-fired bricks, corbelled or stepped inward to form a channel. And as you can see from the protruding terracotta wall pipes and the structure below them, they were fitted with removable stone covers to allow for routine maintenance. These physical remains document a highly organized network of private indoor household plumbing, built to a scale and standard that wouldn't be seen again for nearly 2,000 years. Scaling up to the entire city, Michael Jansen's 1989 mapping study reveals how this wastewater was managed on a macro level. This cross-section shows the mechanics of their settling chambers, or soak pits, placed at regular intervals along the network. These pits allowed solid waste to settle at the bottom, while the liquid continued downstream, operating like a modern septic system. The strongest evidence for centralized civic planning comes from Sir John Marshall's 1931 excavation report. Excavators found the exact same geometric brick ratio at both Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, two cities located over 600 kilometers apart. An identical cross-territorial building code requires immense coordination. A shared standard across that much distance points directly to the mandate of a sophisticated, centralized civic authority overseeing public works. To understand how anomalous this is, we can look at Gregory Possehl's 2002 comparative analysis, which measures the Indus Valley against its Bronze Age peers. While contemporary societies were building massive monuments, neither Mesopotamia nor ancient Egypt exhibited this specific level of standardized civilization-wide drainage infrastructure. This raises an obvious historiographical question. Once this data was published in the 1920s and 30s, why did Western engineering frameworks struggle so deeply to integrate it? The legacy concept of civilization had been written from an entirely Eurocentric perspective. Academic and educational institutions were incredibly slow to rewrite their foundational timelines, even when presented with contradictory, peer-reviewed physical evidence. Ultimately, looking out over the vast, grid-like brick foundations of Mohenjo-Daro shifts our focus from the physical clay to the mindset required to lay it. Dedicating this volume of civic engineering to waste management implies a society that viewed physical cleanliness as a rigid discipline rather than mere convenience. This ancient architectural instinct echoes powerfully in later Indian philosophy, specifically the concept of shaucha, purity of body and space, found directly in foundational texts like Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. The primary excavation records provide the definitive timeline, revealing a civilizational history far older and more complex than the story that became standard in the 19th century.
Distorted narratives can warp a civilization's future. Alignments in the sky never lie. Subscribe to step into the next forensic file. See the record corrected.